Support WrestleTalk!
Give us a subscribe. Is Drew McIntyre getting a big push on Monday Night Raw? I'm Ollie Davis, this is the other one, Luke Owen. Welcome to our WrestleRamble review edition of Raw, which is sponsored by Beer 52. UK viewers only. Head over to www.beer52.com/WrestleTalk to get a free case of craft beer. It's delicious. We'll be trying one later in the show. But yes, the main topic of today, which is how Raw ended in the main event, the Dogs of War of Braun Strowman, Dolph Ziggler and Drew McIntyre, imploded. And Drew McIntyre was the one left standing tall. Tallest. I think he might be a little bit taller than Strowman.
And that's why he's getting a push.
Of course. Well, Apollo Crews is getting a push.
Hey, man.
He's not as tall.
4'11", Apollo Crews. So interestingly, and I've noticed this, and I feel like it's partly my fault, which, is probably a lot to be said about this channel. I don't think they're called the Dogs of War anymore, and I don't think they have been called the Dogs of War since that 1 week where they said they were called the Dogs of War. Because Braun Strowman on this show was like, we don't need a silly name. And I was like, but I thought you had a silly name.
No, they had a cool name. They had a silly unified Raw, where they all do Braun's thing together.
Yes. But either way, I don't think they're called the Dogs of War anymore. And I believe it's just me, you, and Laurie that are still ringing that bell.
Well, it takes a lot of typing to write out all the names.
I still write them as DOW.
Yeah.
It's easier that way.
And what are they called now then? They're not Besties.
Best for business.
Dogs Best for Business.
They're just called Braun Strowman, Dolph Ziggler, and Drew McIntyre.
It's snappy.
Yeah, it is.
Well, let's go back to Mac Dolphman.
Well,
which is what I used to call them.
Mac Dolphman is much better. So anyway, Mac Dolphman had a match with The Shield in the main event. Yes, that's right. You are watching this week's one, not last week's one, or the Super Showdown review. This is this week's episode.
I swear they had one before that as well, because it was hyped on Raw as the first Shield match.
No, but I think it was Mac and Dolph and Baron Corbin.
AOP. It was AOP.
And Baron Corbin.
Whatever's happened, I feel like I've been getting this match every week since Hell in a Cell. And maybe even SummerSlam.
No, you're thinking of Rude and Gable versus The Ascension in some form or another. Or
Finn Balor and Jinder Mahal.
I was going to say, or Balor and Mahal. Either way, anyway, we're getting off topic here. So this was the main event of the show. It was The Shield versus McDolphman, and they had a pretty decent little match. It was not a par on last week's one.
Last week's one was very good.
It was very, very good. But the key to it really sort of came at the end, where Drew accidentally hit Braun Strowman with the Claymore kick when he was aiming for, I believe, Roman. And Roman, like a dog, moved out the way. And he Claymored Strowman right out the ring. And then he literally went, damn it! Which made me laugh. And then at the end of the night, when they lost, Braun was very annoyed and he gave Dolph Ziggler the big power slam. And just as he stood up to go, Braun! Drew Claymored him right in the face on purpose this time. And bearing in mind that Braun Strowman is legit 9 foot tall, he really had to get a good vertical leap to kick him. And he got a brilliant sound off that kick with a slap of the thigh.
The Claymore, I think we're all in agreement, is an excellent finisher. Can be hit on anyone, looks awesome, and it's Drew McIntyre.
Yes.
I found out this morning, courtesy of Reddit, can't remember who said it, that was a mistake. He came up with this move as kind of by accident. So he used to do the big boot.
Yeah.
But when he was in 3MB, his leather trousers were so tight, he couldn't get one leg up with the other leg still standing, so he had to throw himself into a big boot.
I bet you that was revealed on Table for Three quite recently.
Yeah. I did, but that sounds like a good episode to watch. See the bants between those three guys.
Oh, I bet you it's full of bants.
I bet Heath Slater's just there eating hot dogs. And Jinder Mahal, no carbs, just steak. Carnivore diet, him and Drew.
They're probably running through their, championship accomplishments. Jinder Mahal was WWE champion for the better part of a year. Drew McIntyre was NXT champion. He's been a champion all over the world. And there's Heath Slater. I was the first SmackDown tag champ for a bit. And not a lot since then. He might have been a tag champ in Nexus as well.
Hey, he has to, he's chosen he's chosen carbs.
Yes.
And I cannot fault anyone for choosing carbs.
Absolutely not.
I do it on a weekly basis.
I had carbs before we came in here with a lovely bun and breaded halloumi. Well, deep fried halloumi.
But anyway, this has been something that's been building for a while. It was built throughout this episode as well, even though the large focus of the show, as much of the last few weeks has been on Dean Ambrose as kind of a rogue element of the Shield. And you're telling this story of, throughout this night, we'll come onto it in the full review, of Dean and Seth butting heads a lot. And in the main event, there's a moment when they collide, and Dean actually goes to put Seth in the dirty deeds position, which was never really, brothers fight sometimes, don't they?
That's what they were playing it off as.
Yeah.
Hey, man, brothers fight all the time. And me and my brother we're always at each other's throats, always fighting.
I think you and your brother are different kinds of brothers.
What makes you say
to
that?
ones forged in justice fighting.
Hey, man, we play board games. Sometimes, you've got to unify in order to beat the game.
Well, you've got this storyline, so that was almost a red herring to send you down one way, or that I fully expect that to pay off eventually when Dean Ambrose finally turns on his brothers.
Or will he?
Or will he, yeah. Or will it be Roman? Come on, Roman. So you've got the other side of the Dogs of War stuff happening, and throughout this show, Braun has been like, hey, if either of you guys screws this up, you're going to get these hands. And, more aimed at Dolph, because Dolph he's been the weak link. That's been built up over the last few weeks. But I enjoyed this because you thought the Shield were going to break up, but really at the end of it, they might scuffle occasionally. They're brothers. That bond is thicker than the Dogs of War, whatever their name is, who are just brought together because they're dastardly heels. They're going to betray each other eventually anyway, and they were the ones to fall apart in the end. So it was a nice self-contained 2-month story, although the matchups were done to death. I did enjoy it, and hopefully this is the end of it.
Oh, you say that, mate. I guarantee you they're all together again next week.
What? McDolphman?
Yeah.
No.
And they'll probably have a promo, or Braun will come out and be like, Drew, get out here, you're going to get these hands. And then Drew comes out, and then Dolph plays the Peacekeeper, and they reunite together to beat up the Shield.
And then they have another 6-man tag that night.
Yeah.
It's limbo. I'm stuck in purgatory.
And not the game.
I got the sense off of this, of the main event angle, that Dolph qualified for the World Cup to determine the best in the world.
Make sure you get the full title in.
Yep, so he's going to be preoccupied with that. Braun Strowman...
Sorry, you make it sound like they're going to be doing something with this World Cup in the lead up to it.
There's a lot of people in it.
Yeah.
They've been doing qualifying matches.
Yeah, but that's it, and then it's done. Kurt Angle's just in a few with Baron Corbin. That's not over the World Cup.
For the next 3 weeks, these are going to be... maybe Dolph, it seems like, because Seth qualified against Drew, that they'll... But anyway, Dolph and Drew are usually the team. From this, Drew walked away from Dolph, who was laid out in the ring as well. I don't know how much of a split this is. Is this just Drew and Dolph splitting from Braun, or is this Drew really moving away from Dolph as well?
Man, if he split away from Dolph, who's going to defend the tag team titles with him?
I forgot they were the tag team champions.
As you were saying that, I suddenly thought, he's forgotten that they're the tag champs.
There was a moment at the start of this show where, you got the Braun, the Dogs of War are cutting a promo in the ring. They've got the tag titles. And then Roman and Seth come out. Intercontinental title over one shoulder, Universal Championship on the others.
Over his back.
Yeah. And I'm like, this is all the time. I know this has been said before, but it just struck me there.
Yeah.
This is all the titles, guys. This is a greedy feud. And it's been a well-told story, but it has suffocated a lot of the rest of the show.
Remember when Roman won the title and he was going to defend it on every show? What happened?
He tried to.
He tried to for a bit, didn't he? But old Baron Corbin stopped him. The dastardly Baron Corbin.
I won't try again.
No, I'm done now. I'm busy.
Yeah, I've got that big three-way.
Yeah, I was going to say he's got defended at Crown Jewel, not in Saudi Arabia. Well, it's just Crown Jewel blank.
Yes. Usually it's from the progressive, beautiful place of Saudi Arabia.
Today it was just, it's Crown Jewel streaming live on the WWE Network.
Yes. So you don't think Drew, this marks, because I thought Drew might be entering a singles feud with Braun off the back of this. That feels like what they've been building for a while.
But I think that'll come after Crown Jewel. Like I
don't think McIntyre will cost Braun in some way?
Braun said in his promo last week, the only reason that I won't do the voice. The only reason we're together is so you guys can ensure that I become the Universal Champion, and that's why we're going to do this. So I thought that this trio was going to stay together up until Crown Jewel, and then after that we can do the split of them, and they can kind of go their separate ways. But this kind of like just creates more dissension in the ranks, as opposed to it's Drew breaking away from this Franken team.
Yeah, I just want them all to go their separate ways now.
Oh yeah.
I'm not just talking about the performers, but the belts as well.
Yeah.
Like get the belts back into the AOP, Chad Gable, Bobby Roode mix, not the B team. Get the Intercontinental title down with some of the other fun guys. Apollo Crews, Elias.
Yeah.
Kevin Owens is out, though. But yes, so we don't know about Drew. But shall we...
Oh, man, it's a good job we named the title that, then.
Should we drink some beer, though? So this is the lovely beer we'll be drinking today. In this part of the show, you can get your free case of craft beer if you go to the link in the video description below, which is beer52.com/WrestleTalk, where you only have to pay for shipping. What a deal.
For UK viewers only, they are a UK-based company.
Yeah,
so
we have to say that.
We have to say that.
So let's do the tasting.
Indeed. So this is Starvation from
nice.
Reservoir Dogs, which is the name of the brewery. I actually haven't had
Reservoir
this one.
what?
Reservoir Dogs.
I thought you said Reservoir Dongs. And I thought, that's a porno I want to see.
Yeah, Reservoir Big Dogs. I actually haven't had this one from my box yet. So I didn't actually get to have any of the beers from the box recently. So, the former Gypsy Brewers, now leading lights of the Slovenian craft scene, Reservoir Dogs' roots lay in the region's famous wine industry. It's brewing some phenomenally tasty, sessionable beers, as well as many exciting small batch projects behind the scenes. A really smart, friendly bunch, and definitely a brewery to watch closely. So this is 8%.
Yes.
Enjoy it at 9 degrees for optimum tasting.
It's slightly chilled.
Yep. What do you think, or taste-wise?
Okay, so I'm getting the sweetness at the start. It's got the flavour develops over a few seconds to quite a malty finish.
Oh, okay, well, let's see what the tasting notes say. Using a combination of caramel malts and the tiniest amount of roasted malt for colour, Cascade is the star of this superbly balanced beer. Citrus, tropical fruit, and pine trees combined with the tender fragrances of caramel and slight hints of coffee and chocolate. That's where the darkness comes from.
I'm definitely getting caramel.
Yeah. The round, fruity taste is followed by pungent chocolate and final bitterness with a delicate coffee aftertaste. Now, usually, I'm not a massive fan of dark beers. I'm more of a lighter man. But I'm very excited to try this, though.
I like my beers like I like my superhero movies. Dark, but with camp bits.
That is delightful, though. That's really nice. I know you can definitely get the chocolate and coffeeness at the end there. You couldn't drink a lot of it. I don't think it was.
No, it's 8%.
Yeah,
especially not at 12:30 in the morning.
No.
So let's get on with the whole review.
Haha, it's a Raw review, looking jacked, man.
So Raw kicked off with the Dogs of War coming out, and they were gloating about how they beat the Shield the week before. They've disbanded the Shield. It's all because of them. Dolph introduces a video package, which was annoying. And then Michael Cole points out that Braun is facing Brock Lesnar and Roman Reigns in 3 weeks' time at Crown Jewel. And that was the first, there was a bit of speculation about whether they would mention Crown Jewel at all because of all the political controversy around Saudi Arabia. A lot of people are calling for WWE to cancel the show there, and yes, they mentioned it within the first 30 seconds.
Yeah, it really was. I woke up this morning being like, I really wonder how they're going to handle this Crown Jewel situation. As you say, the first 30 seconds, Michael Cole's there, Crown Jewel in 3 weeks on the WWE Network. But obviously, they don't mention that it's in Saudi Arabia. So that was probably a smart play on WWE's part to not mention that's where it is. Because if you're a new viewer that's coming in, you might be like, oh, God, you're doing a show there. That seems a bit not progressive and not forward-thinking. But they were like, no, that. It's a show. It's going to be on the network. Subscribe to the network and you can watch the show.
And it gives them an out if they want to move the location to a different place.
And it also, because there was reports over the weekend that there was talk internally, obviously this is just, this is speculation, this is rumour and innuendo, there was talks internally of moving the two big matches from Crown Jewel, the Triple Threat and the Tag Team match, and doing those at Survivor Series instead. And the word was to watch Raw closely, because if they don't mention those two matches, then they're definitely being moved to Survivor Series. But here we are. They were very much mentioned. The segment after this was plugging the DX Brothers of Destruction match. So those two matches definitely are still happening at Crown Jewel. The report is that it's going to take either the State Department or Donald Trump to cancel this show or move it to another country.
Wow.
The word is that a lot, they don't give a specified number, or the majority, they just say a lot of the WWE talent backstage, including members of The Office, do not want to go, but there is one man who is determined to go and do this show, and that one man is the man with all the power, and that is Vince McMahon. And so if he wants to do it, and Donald Trump has said you can do it, then he's going to go and do it, and they're going to go do the show.
So do you think, if the State Department or Donald Trump said, you've got to turn Roman Reigns heel now?
Well, that's a different matter.
Also, I'm just... priorities, Luke. Wrestling creative and political...
I guess what you're saying.
Situations.
I guess what you're saying. But however, when Donald Trump was even doing angles with WWE and he was having that WrestleMania match, he didn't know who was in that match.
That's a good point.
He just referred to the guy, his avatar in that match, the black one.
Bobby Lashley.
Yes.
It's Bobby Lashley now.
Yeah.
Yes, the Shield then come out eventually. Drew and Dolph had this moment before that, actually, when they joked about both winning their World Cup qualifiers and having to face each other in... Is it a tournament? It's an 8...
Who knows? Who knows? And who honestly could care? I believe it's a one-night tournament, but I don't know. I don't think they know. I don't think they know what a World Cup is. Everyone's from America.
Because the graphic has them all together in one place, how you would a normal match. If this was a tournament, you'd be slotting people in brackets, and you would show, look, Seth Rollins got this place, and now he's going to face this person if it's a tournament.
I don't think they know. Well, we know Vince McMahon doesn't like tournaments.
Yeah.
He hates the word tournament, A, and B, he just doesn't like doing them. And when they do, he is forced to do them, he does them really half-assed. And that's what we're getting here. It's just here are some lads. The lads will have some matches. Just get ready for the DX match, because that's what you're all here for.
Apart from Survivor Series Deadly Games,
but that was in
where
1998.
they went all in on...
And that wasn't McMahon, that was all Russo.
Yeah, well, Russo filtered
via through McMahon, yeah.
Drew and Dolph had this cute bit where they're like, hey, we might face each other in this World Cup match. And they joked about... and I'll beat you, I'll beat you. And then Drew was like, no, I'm going to kill you.
Yeah, I was going to say, I'm so much better than you are. I'm definitely going to win. Also, interestingly as well, we don't want to try and dwell on the horrific state going on in the news at the moment, but someone tweeted me last week, or it was over the weekend, saying, do you think that the Philly crowd is going to boo any mention of Crown Jewel? Because it's become this sort of hot button topic. And I was thinking about this, and I was like, well, unless it's really penetrated the mainstream wrestling audience, clearly the hardcore audience know what this is and know everything, the ins and outs of things. But unless it's penetrated into the mainstream wrestling audience, I don't think it will. And it wasn't booed whatsoever when anyone mentioned it. So clearly, it only really matters to people like us and the people watching this show, I guess.
Or if, maybe people just aren't aware of it. It is,
well, that's what I mean,
very
yeah.
inside baseball. But
That's
Philadelphia's a hot wrestling crowd, traditionally quite a smart crowd.
Couldn't tell by this show, though, could you?
No. I was looking forward to a cancel Crown Jewel.
Yeah.
And then that hijacks a segment, but we didn't really get any of that.
No, but this crowd really weren't into much, to be honest with you. Anyway, Seth and Roman come out to the Shield's music, but it's just the two of them, and they say that Shield is alive and well, and that Seth is going to be the one to win the World Cup, whatever it is. It's to determine the best in the world, that's what it is. And Dolph starts sort of making fun. It's you say you're the Shield and you're alive and well, but where's Dean? You're missing one. And Seth says the demon runs on Ambrose time and he'll be here when he wants. And then he challenges Drew to a match. He makes some jokes about Philly cheesesteaks first. and then says, we're going to have a match now.
And Philadelphia's a fighting town.
Yeah,
I thought Rollins was very good. He felt very at ease here. Roman Reigns, just like he didn't care.
Yeah, I'd have given Roman the Philly cheesesteak lines, and it's a fighting town and things like that to try and get... I mean, the crowd were behind him in the main event regardless, but like I would have tried to give all of him the good lines if he's the one you want to get over.
But like, I don't think this was a content issue. It was Roman Reigns' delivery here was so lackluster.
It was really
and wooden.
arse. It was really bold.
That's weird. You really getting over with me, Roman.
Yeah.
So this went straight into Seth Rollins versus Drew McIntyre. And yet it's a qualifying match for the crown jewel, but they were not mentioning the Saudi Arabia stuff. I really like this match, particularly the finish when it just went chaotic. I don't know how many more variations there are on the superplex into Falcon Arrow spot.
You love it, though.
Somehow Rollins like riffs on that spot every match and he makes it different and fresh.
Yeah.
Really, really appreciate how Seth Rollins can do a Seth Rollins match. He's really good at it.
Yeah, this was a really fun match, and the finish saw Dolph come down to cause the distraction, but who should appear from seemingly out of nowhere? Dean Ambrose came in, running on Ambrose time, and he starts attacking Dolph, and it becomes a bit chaotic on the outside, and then Seth hits the curb stomp on Drew on the outside, and he slides back into the ring at the 9 count and wins via countout. Protects Drew in there. He doesn't have to take a loss. But it also means another American has qualified for this World Cup. You almost could have had an international flavour to this World Cup.
No.
Absolutely not.
I mean, you've seen the World Series, right?
You're absolutely right.
North America.
North America
only.
Absolutely.
So, yeah, I really like the finish. It's a shame that you have to beat Drew. Like, Drew was beaten, but this was the best way to get round that. And when Seth was, he did a spot where he dived on Drew, then he got back in and he dived on Dolph. Seth is so good.
He's incredible.
He's really good. And another thing I read on Reddit, here's another opinion that isn't mine, but I agree with. This Shield reunion has unfortunately really dampened Seth. Because Seth was on fire. He was stealing the show every week, Monday Night Rollins. And he's still been doing that, but it has been as a kind of heat dampener for Roman Reigns, which isn't the best use of a singles push for Seth Rollins.
No, I would agree with that, and I imagine it's probably because, at least for me, it's because he's not in a singles feud at the moment. Like, he's not defending the IC belt in this sort of like hot feud where they can have these great matches. He's just part of constant 6-man tags.
Yeah.
Or a tag team with Dean.
Which is, just another casualty of the Roman Reigns push.
Yeah.
We've had Braun Strowman awkwardly fudged into a heel role. We've had this weird heel faction, and Seth Rollins as well. I'm sure there's more. So that's a bit depressing.
But the key to this is that, when Seth wins, Dean gets into the ring, and after the tensions from last week, he was celebrating with Seth like he was his brother, and they were having a jolly good time. But then, when we come back from break, they're walking down a hallway, and they start making those jokes about, hey, on Ambrose time, are you? And Ambrose just sort of stops, and he's like, am I just a joke to you guys?
Yeah.
It's all just one big laughing matter. And he just walks away, and they're like, I was like, dude, it was a joke. Like, we didn't mean anything by it.
So I said this in my review. I think it's an apt comparison. Joe Pesci in Goodfellas.
He is, yeah.
Do I amuse you?
Am I a clown to you?
I think, and the great thing about Dean, as the same with Pesci's character, I can't remember the character's name.
It's Joe Pesci.
He's called Joe Pesci. Is that you don't know if he's joking, and the slightest thing can send him off one way or the other. It's a real, like if you were to share a room with this version of Dean Ambrose, I wouldn't be at ease. And that's exactly the tone they should be striking with it.
Yeah.
And so that built into later on. Then we got that Brothers of Destruction promo that was Undertaker and Kane in a kind of boiler room area. It was all pre-taped and edited to maximum
spookiness.
Mid-90s levels.
Oh, I don't know. I quite liked this. I like that they were in their own little setting. It was all smoky and purple. And it's the sort of thing I've been saying that I'd like more characters to have this sort of own locations where they do their promos. So I actually kind of like this. I mean, the actual content was nonsense, but I liked the presentation of it.
Yes. I agree. We're a big fan of making people's interviews and promos feel unique, which they definitely did.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, it was... Maybe I just don't like Kane promos.
Oh, I've never liked a Kane promo.
Eviscerate.
Yeah.
Lots of clunky words. Vince McMahon writes my promos for me.
Yeah. I'm not sure, and I love Kane. I think Kane's, he's one of the all-time greats, as Todd Phillips would say on SmackDown. But I'm not sure Kane has ever really had like a killer promo where you're like, oh, that's why Kane was given a microphone. That's why he does promos.
Comedy. His comedic timing is amazing.
Is incredible, yes, absolutely.
And maybe, like, if he didn't have this character, he could be a really good promo if he wasn't shackled to such, like, turn-of-the-century dialogue. So this was all, of course, built into the DX tag match.
Yes.
Potentially crown jewel.
Mm-hmm.
Then we got... one of the most unceremonious drafts of all time.
There were 2 big returns on this show. This was the first one, and boy howdy did they treat this like a complete afterthought. Didn't even get an entrance.
He got a jobber's entrance.
Tamina's back. Not on SmackDown, where she was the last time we saw her. She's back from her moon mission, where we last saw her. And she's on Raw now. And she's in a tag team with Dana Brooke. At least for this show. Taking on Nia Jax and Ember Moon.
A superstar shakeup was coming. I told you. You were like, it hasn't happened after SummerSlam. Why do you keep saying this? I'm telling you, a superstar shakeup is happening.
Is that how Mike Nelson ended up on 205
Live?
Yes.
And now we've got the huge debut return of Tamina. Yeah. Love it.
I genuinely couldn't remember if she was on SmackDown or not. So my first note is like, so Tamina's back. Was she on SmackDown? ?
She fought for Team SmackDown. This guy Wikipedia's. She fought on Team SmackDown at last year's Survivor Series.
Oh, okay.
And then she was on the Royal Rumble.
Off the top of your head, can you name me the other members of that Survivor Series match?
Probably Naomi.
Yeah.
Probably Becky. Definitely Becky Lynch.
Mm-hmm.
Carmella.
Yeah.
Alexa.
I believe Asuka won it.
Hey man, it was an all-time great feud. Asuka was on Team Raw though, wasn't she?
Yes, she was, yeah.
That's not what you asked me. So in her shocking switch defection, I called my Raw review SmackDown star defects to Raw.
To peel back the curtain slightly, when I write my news, I look what I'm going to throw to at the end, and I always say to Willie, like, what's your news, or what's the title of your Raw review? And you went, prepare yourself. And you said, huge defection.
No, I didn't say huge defection. Just said SmackDown star defects to Raw.
Oh, dearie me. You are, I genuinely never, if you'd have given me a month of Sundays to come up with the title for this week's episode, I never would have thought that's what you'd have gone for.
That's why I'm the pro. Built this channel on the back of titles like that. I think hopefully I have dealt with it in a way where people go, you got me.
Anyway, this wasn't much of a match. They kind of built a nice bit between Nia Jax and Tamina, with Tamina eventually hitting the Samoan drop on Nia Jax, which was very nice. But then Ember Moon just hit the Eclipse out of nowhere on Dana Brooke and won, so really that spot built to Nout. But more importantly, I suppose, is they announced another match for Evolution, or Evolution, depending on your country of origin and how you speak. And I found this one to be fascinating. Because you and I was kind of speaking about, pay-per-views in 2 weeks, they've only announced 4 matches at this point. Last week, they had 2 matches and that got turned into 1 match. They're really going to have to start adding some stuff to this card if they want A, people to buy tickets, or B, people to be interested in watching this show. And so they finally announced another match here. It's a battle royal to determine a number 1 contender at some point. So it's not like you don't become the number 1 contender, you just earn a title shot at some point.
Not even for Survivor Series.
No, absolutely not. No.
That could be a good kind of, it makes it feel more worthy, but this title shot will likely just be used on an episode of weekly TV.
Yes, and in this Battle Royal, I know you're wondering, it's Tamina, Iconics, Ember Moon, Alicia Fox, Nia Jax, Dana Brooke, and then they announced during the match, Asuka, Mandy Rose, Carmella, Lana, Sonya Deville, Naomi, and Tori Wilson. Now, I know obviously you just want to talk about the fact that Tori Wilson is back.
I stopped listening at Tori Wilson, and that they left me on a high.
Well, my bigger point isn't that the entire women's division? Like, there are no more matches you can announce, right?
Hey, Charlotte and Becky are going to go long.
They're going to have
a
to.
45-minute classic.
Like, it's just Bayley and Sasha that don't have any... And the Riott Squad, I suppose. But it looks like they're going to be building to possibly a tag match between the Hug and Boss Connection and the Riott Squad.
Yeah, with Natalya in there.
Oh, maybe it'll be a 6-woman, yeah.
Yeah, so, yeah, it's the Battle Royal is the classic...
Get everyone on the card.
Get everyone on the card. Like, nothing screams gimmick like Battle Royal.
Nothing screams, we've got nothing for... Creative has nothing for you, like a Battle Royal on the pre-show of WrestleMania.
And not just that, like, pointless gimmick.
Yeah.
You know, Royal Rumble is this superb stipulation match, but a Battle Royal where everyone starts off in the ring, it's like...
They won't get
cares?
entrances.
Yeah. All In did a good one.
All In was great.
That's something. But I don't have the same faith for this one. It's just... like what a weird thing to do. So Stephanie did bill this as having over 50 women on the card.
That's been changed, though.
Yeah, but maybe this is a way to...
Try and bulk those numbers out. Yeah. And then, like, at the end of the match, they kind of built up this Battle Royal gimmick, although I don't think it particularly got over the crowd because no one reacted to it. But essentially, Tamina, like, she dumps Nia Jax over the top rope and Ember Moon sort of helped out. And then Ember Moon tried to throw Tamina over the top rope, but that didn't really work out. And then Dana Brooke, of all people, the one who took the pinfall, got everyone out of the ring, so no one got over in this segment. A pointless, and it was so pointless and redundant, the commentators immediately moved on. Dana Brooke eliminated these people, and then Michael Cole instantly went like, well, let's have a look at the Bellas and Ronda Rousey.
Well, that doesn't matter. So just 2 quick points. Dana Brooke, where was that Titus Worldwide payoff?
We got the payoff. She left the group.
Yeah, but hardly. There's no... Like, they were building up with Titus trying to, I'm going to make you into a...
Well, so's Apollo Crews. He's also left Titus Worldwide by the looks of it.
But not mentioning that... Don't Pritchard me here. You know what I mean. And the other thing, I think they're building up a semi-losing streak for Nia. Because she felt a bit disgruntled.
Which is a good way to start this, by having her win tonight.
Yeah. Ember Moon won. And Nia Jax was kind of got the better of by Tamina. Nia Jax didn't look that happy and celebrating with Ember. Last week, Ember beat Nia. I feel like they might be going a way where Nia snaps back to heel turn. I was going to say there, she's the Big Show of the women's division. But that is honestly purely in flip-flopping between heel and face.
Yeah.
You read in your own offence there. I did not intend that.
Yeah.
Yes, but speaking of, moving on, something actually important, Ronda Rousey and the Bellas had half a good segment.
That's exactly my note. This segment was great by the end, but boy howdy was it toilet at the start. We've got a recap of the Bellas beating down Ronda from last week, and then Ronda doing an interview with TMZ, calling the Bellas do nothing bitches, which I'm guessing is a term.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, I guess so, yeah. Do you want to take us through this?
Yes,
okay. I thought the start of it was exceptionally odd.
Yeah, so Ronda comes down to the ring and is kind of playing up the sad, why did you do this to me, Bellas?
Was she, though? Because I actually rewound, because my first note here is like, oh, she's like nearly crying in the ring. Right when she's walking out, she's all smiles. She's all smiles, she's glad-handing with everyone, celebrating. The second she gets in the ring and puts the microphone on, then the sad face comes on, and she's like, well, I'm sad now.
Yeah, well, I don't think you should joke about bipolar issues, Luke. It's quite mean. But yeah, she did flip-flop between emotions. And it wasn't consistent in the slightest. She comes down and she's like, yeah, why, Bella? Why did you turn on me last week? She's doing the crocodile tears thing when you just want her to come down and be like, get the...
like she did at the end of this promo.
Yeah. Get the heckins out here now because I want to kick your ass for what you did to me last week. Like, what? It's stupid because there was never a relationship to buy into. Like, if this was...
You saw SummerSlam.
If this was something that mattered, then this is fine, but it wasn't. Anyway, she starts to... the Bellas then come out and they actually get some decent heat. I thought Nikki was pretty good here, actually.
I thought Brie was actually really good as well. And there was a really weird line, and this actually kind of, like, a lot of people go, well, why are the Bellas here? Why no one wants to see them? Nikki has a line here where she says, no one paid to see you, Ronda. They paid to see us. And the crowd erupted into cheers because they did pay to see the Bellas because they're draws. to a mainstream audience.
Sure.
The crowd react that was meant to get negative heat.
Yes,
but it didn't. It got positive heat.
Negative heat is when Sasha Banks and Bayley clear the ring of the Riott Squad, where it's less than actual reaction,
less than zero.
But yeah, so and they cut stuff about the Divas division, and they were the ones who got the women's division because the Divas division was so bad with them wrestling that we wanted to change. And then Ronda so this was all like good, and it's getting good. But then Ronda has this line: "You leached off the names of your men." That got a pop. Mm-hmm. "You plagiarize and dilute their movesets.
Lovely.
You're not pioneers. You're relics of the past waiting to be eviscerated like smallpox."
That last bit was definitely written by Vince McMahon.
Yes. That is awful. Like, you can say that there's a good sentiment underneath that. Like you're only here on your husband's coattails. But that is not how normal people talk. UFC promos are there where people are saying that? It's just so overwritten and archaic. Smallpox.
Well, here's the thing. That sentence perfectly encapsulates this segment. The first half of it is great, or at least one half of it is great, in which is you've leached off your husbands, your partners, and you've taken their movesets and made them rubbish. That bit, great. And then she picks up on that again when she starts poking fun at Nikki, saying like Nikki says, "We kicked down doors. The only door you kicked down was John Cena's bedroom, and even he kicked you out." Really good, and that's got the most heat of it. Problem is, the second half of that sentence, where she starts talking about eviscerating you like smallpox, is nonsense.
Well, this bit came before.
No, I know,
the
but
door line.
No, what I'm saying is that this one piece here is one half of it's very good, the other half is very bad. And this whole segment was one half of this was very, very bad, and the other half was very, very good.
Yeah, so that they moved away from that really horribly scripted stuff into the bit you talked about, where she says, "I kicked down doors in Strikeforce, in Judo, in UFC. The only door you ever kicked down, Nikki, was John Cena's bedroom," and then he threw her back out of it. That was an awesome, awesome line.
Yeah.
And saved this entire segment.
Yeah, it was really good, because a lot of Ronda's other stuff in there, where she's sort of "I thought we would be sister soldiers forever, and I thought you were friends, and I thought when you met me at WrestleMania, I thought, God, you're really cool, you're nice people." And I just thought to myself, cut all this out, cut this nonsense. This, if I'm looking at a script and I'm this segment's too long, that's the first bit I'm cutting out. Get rid of all that stuff. Just have the awesome lines there where it sounds like they actually hate each other and they want to have a fight, and get rid of all this friends BS.
They've got 3 hours to fill. They do not have a stage where they're like, "We need to trim this down.
we need to lengthen this out."
Yeah.
Can you go out there and do 20 minutes? We've only got 5 minutes worth of material, but make it 20 if you can.
Yeah, they probably had a really great, succinct, killer promo, and they're like, "Oh no, we're about 15 minutes short." Yeah. Vince's like, "Hey, give me that script. Eviscerate.
Smallpox."
Sorry, this is Ronda's segment, not Kane's. Smallpox. They lit up. Smallpox relevant, right? So the Bellas run off after this eventually because they send down security, and Ronda beats up some security.
Yeah. And Ronda looked great at the end of this segment, and her actual when she's fired up at the end of it, she seemed to forget her lines, and quite easy to forget your lines when you're given garbage dialogue like that. But when she was on point, this was a really good segment. But when it did fall apart every now and again, it was a mixed bag.
Yeah. Then we got Kurt Angle backstage in a Hawaiian shirt and a sort of, would you call that a Panama hat, I believe?
Yeah.
And so he's Vacation Kurt.
Yeah.
I want that action figure variant.
If that's not on WWE 2K19 a DLC character, then I don't know what to tell you.
I want that. Kurt has really gone to town since his return on different skins. So you've got Shield Kurt, you've got GM Kurt, Conquistador Kurt, and now Vacation Kurt.
I like it.
Yeah.
He said that he's on vacation and he feels great for this vacation. You really should thank Stephanie for it. He's talking with Rude and Gable, who then just walk away because No Way Jose appears. Apparently he's been on Main Event. Didn't know it was a show. And he dances for a bit. And then he walks away. And then Baron Corbin walks up. This is one segment. Then Baron Corbin walks up and says that, "Hey, when was the last time you had a singles match, Kurt? I think you needed some practice. I'm going to book you in a match tonight, and you're going to face AOP in a handicap match."
And Kurt's like, well, I didn't bring my gear.
Just
Setting up.
Yeah.
So the stupid cameos aside, like what? Let's not even get into trying to unpack what Jose does.
Well, I think
backstage.
To go back to your earlier point, the script runs short. We need to extend out this segment by another 30 seconds. Is No Way Jose around? Can we get a couple of the crew members together to do a bit of dancing? That'll extend out this segment.
That aside, I'm enjoying this, Kurt. I enjoyed him a lot last week. I enjoyed his just goofy vacation Kurt this week. Goofy Kurt is a great level of Kurt. Like he's one person who, if you're going to do goofy comedy with, it's perfectly suited to it.
Absolutely.
And then we got a Susan G. Komen bit. Then we got Dolph Ziggler versus Dean Ambrose for the World Cup qualifiers to determine the best in the world. Drew comes down to interfere near the end of this match. It was like Dean's return initially, I really enjoyed, but now, like in-ring wise, but I just felt like this wasn't as...
The crowd were not into this at all. They were shockingly quiet.
The match wasn't that engaging.
No,
though.
not really. And it was really odd. And then Drew came down to attack, and Seth tries to help out, kind of takes out Drew, but in the process he kind of like picks Dean up to throw Dean back into the ring, and Dean sort of pushes him down, and that leads to him getting the super kick and from Dolph and losing. That's amazed how little heat it had, really.
Yeah, but then afterwards, Seth and Dean have a bit of a shoving match in the ring. Dean walks off up the ramp. Seth's like, no, you know what? I've had enough of this. Yeah. And he storms after him. They start having an argument on the stage. Roman comes out to booze. He was also booed whenever he spoke at the start as well. So boo Roman, but not the crown jewel. Great job, Philadelphia. And priorities. And then Baron comes out and, in his infinite wisdom, makes the same main event we've had.
Yeah, because he doesn't want the Shield to explode under his watch. But really, like the underlying of that is that he does want them to implode, and by doing so, he's putting them in matches where they might likely implode. Dastardly Baron.
And then we got the Dogs of War, who aren't called that, backstage. And they said how they're going to finally split up the Shield. And that's when Braun says, if either of you screw up, you'll get these hands.
Yeah.
And that's sowing the seeds for later. But they've been sowing that seed for quite a few weeks. So it was genuinely surprising when it combusted in the main event. Samir Singh is back.
I know, speaking of big returns. Samir Singh is back. Barely shown on camera. Corey Graves, the only reason I know he was there is because Corey Graves wouldn't shut up about it.
Yeah.
But this was... I couldn't believe this happened. Finn Balor versus Jinder Mahal. And Michael Cole said, and I quote, this is quite the rivalry. It bloody well isn't, Cole. It bloody well isn't. Balor won.
It's a series of matches, not a rivalry.
Yeah, and Samir Singh is back and he's at ringside. So he got into that incredible shape so that he could not have an actual return and just be at ringside for this not rivalry.
That should be at least a WWE Championship run.
I was just surprised that it was not your thumbnail for the
big returns.
Yeah, exactly.
Banks. Well, I did that one last week with Kurt.
Well, no, I thought it was just Samir Singh in particular. Just the silhouette, the question mark.
Nice.
Huge WWE return.
I think Defection just has a more.
But it does look like Finn is getting into a rivalry. His first of the year, I think.
Yeah. Well, he had the Miz. You mean post WrestleMania?
Yeah,
the wrestling.
But I'm not sure you can call that a feud. It was
Rollins and Miz over the Intercontinental title. That was a great feud.
That was a good match. I'm not sure I would call it a great feud.
No, Rollins and Balor kept on trying to one-up each other.
Oh, that was good. Yeah. God,
that was a feud.
I've forgotten all about that.
So in the celebration, after a remarkably short match with a coup de grace for the win, Bobby Lashley comes out with Lio Rush because he's got a match next, interrupting Finn Balor's celebration. And it's just Lashley posing in different corners of the ring to show how physically impressive he is.
Yeah.
And Lio Rush just going, he smells good, or he smells like money.
He looks like money, he smells like money, he is money.
He tastes like money, he said at one point.
Ooh, misses.
I want to get into that.
And they sort of put over that he injured Owens last week and that he's going to be getting knee surgery and he'll be out for a little while. And like Leo's there asking, hey, Finn Balor, do you want to look like this guy? And I was like, have you seen Finn Balor's abs? Like, he does look like that guy.
Well, I mean, there are other obvious differences between Balor and Bobby.
Yeah, he's got hair. Bobby Lashley's
and Bobby's
bald.
taller. Yeah. Those are the only two.
Pretty much.
So, yeah, I thought this was really good, and it builds on last week where Bobby and Leo interrupted that Balor and Bayley segment backstage.
Oh my! I forgot about that. I thought this was really out of the blue, but you're right. They did set it up last week.
So
good job, WWE.
And I have no qualms with a mixed tag match between Balor and Bayley and Rush and Bobby.
Well, no, because Bayley's now off with her best friend again, so that kind of removes Bayley from this situation. So that feud now, quite the rivalry that Michael Cole was talking about with Jinder Mahal, is done with.
Yeah. So and then Bobby Lashley beat Tyler Breeze very, very quickly. Like Breeze got a little bit, but it was only like a false hope spot. But Lashley always had this under control. And Rush is really good on the outside, just hyping up Bobby.
Yep.
And, if we do condemn Vince a lot for the stuff he does on this show, but when he gets it right, we've got to say well done to him as well, because by all accounts, that is Vince feeding the lines to Rush.
Yeah.
Throughout. Even Corey is annoyed by Rush
as the heel commentator. It was surprising, really. Yeah. I thought this was good stuff.
Yeah. And I wouldn't mind a heel Lashley versus babyface Balor feud at all.
No, absolutely not. Sorry, I was getting some tweets up before the next segments. Because
okay,
I think
because this was woeful. Trish Stratus and Lita come down to the ring. They speak some words like awkward mums. And then Mickey James and Alexa Bliss come out. They do some unfunny impressions, but not even unfunny in a fun Iconics heel way. Just I want to stop watching this. And then Lita and Trish do a practice thing, which I found out is a reference to a 2002 sports interview with someone called Iverson.
Alan Iverson. So I woke up this morning and I get tweets from people who watch the show and they're like watching it live and they kind of send me their thoughts as it's going on. So I watch the show and then I go through and see messages that people have sent me. I had upwards of 15 people send me a message going like, for the Ramble, just so you know, that practice thing was a reference to a very, very famous promo that this sportsman did about a sports thing.
Yes.
And so thank you to everyone who let me know. Clearly, we have now got a reputation on this show for not understanding sports references. So people are
American sports references.
I don't even think you'd understand British sports references.
If they said something about seagulls, I would go, that's probably Cantona.
Prawn sandwiches, probably Cantona.
Then Kevin Keegan did one where he was I'm gonna beat him. Gary Neville going, ooh. So yeah. I like sports.
You know all the sports stuff.
I know all the sports.
So yeah, and so thank you to everyone who let me know. So Alison Iverson, who's a sports person, did a sports interview about a sport. And that's what they were referencing here. I believe it's probably connected to Philadelphia. Yeah,
and then the Besties challenged them to a fight, but Bliss and James walked out. This was
awful.
This was this was embarrassing.
Yeah.
I felt like embarrassed to watch this.
I am not looking forward to that match.
And like Trish Stratus, Lita,
this is my teenage years as a tag team. Like I should be super into this feud on a nostalgic basis alone. I should be like, oh, it's going to be great to see them have this match. And yet here I am, and being like, not asked, mate. And it's because these segments are very, very bad, and they're just making me actively uninterested in it.
As unfunny as the heels were, I did appreciate the effort Mickey James was going through.
Yes.
But I again, like Roman Reigns in the start, I thought Bliss looked like she was at about a 6 here in effort.
Yeah.
When usually she's amazing on promos, amazing on the mic, loads of facial expressions. But here she did seem disinterested.
I did laugh though when they were leaving. She turned around to do the Trish Stratus point again. That made me laugh.
Oh yeah, the point impression was funny, but overall not good. Then Bayley runs into the Riott Squad backstage. Do they always wear beanies?
I don't know. I was just amazed that they gave Sarah Logan some mic time here. After game, mate.
I'm gonna get a game, mate.
So Bayley's walking backstage and she runs into the Riott Squad, who I think made fun of her for having friends.
Oh, look there with your Balor buddy. Oh, now your other friend is Sasha Banks.
Their promo was essentially, oh, friends, friends.
Meh. And then they squirted condiments over Natalya's locker room door.
No, such riotty action.
Like, that's not... Natalya doesn't live there. Like, she's going to move on to another city.
She doesn't have to clean it up either. Like, the other part, like, the cleaners are going to have to clean it up. That's all they've inconvenienced, is the cleaners in the building, who have probably got to clean up loads of condiment stuff anyway.
The Riot Squad rioting is laughable.
It makes them so lame, and they're quite a good team. I like them as a team.
Same.
I really like them as a team. But man alive, do they try their hardest to make them uncool.
Yeah. It's really childish levels of stuff.
Can you imagine if the NWO had done this?
Yeah. Sometimes I feel like nothing against the Beano. But I feel like they are villains in the Beano. Which is, for American viewers, that's an English comic for kids. Yeah. Which I used to read a lot.
I used to read the Beano Annual. The Beano and Dandy Annuals, that was Christmas staples, getting those.
But they are for kids.
Yes.
Right. Next up, we got AOP in this handicap match against Kurt Angle. Or is it? Yeah, because it was Gold Condom El Conquistador. And that's, Kurt himself has said it felt like wearing a giant gold condom.
Yep. Like that bit in The Naked Gun. Anyway, AOP squash this poor little man, and then they go to unmask you, but it's not Kurt Angle at all. It's some lad.
Like John Laurinaitis's...
Is that
I was going to say brother, but that's Animal.
Yeah, that's Animal, yeah.
No, Hawk. No, Animal?
Animal.
It is Animal,
yeah.
Right. So, yeah. So, like, that was cute, and AOP really... beat up this guy.
Oh, man.
I got a kick out of that.
Yeah, there have been like some lads who I've felt quite sorry for to be in the ring with AOP sometimes. And this one is like the lad that they did the Super Collide to and then powerbombed him onto his friend and like broke both their necks. Like I felt very bad for them, but also felt pretty bad for this guy here because they were just like, you're going down through my arm and I'm just going to knock the ever-loving S out of you.
Yeah, I do get a kick out of AOP.
I do as well.
Like just... kicking the crap out of people.
Yeah, but the key
it doesn't look particularly safe, but I'm sure.
I'm sure it is.
Sure, they're professionals.
But the key to this is that Baron Corbin was on the stage on a steel chair to watch Kurt Angle, big quotation marks, getting beaten up by AOP, and then he was shocked when it wasn't. It was like the goat in the Aquaman trailer doing a double take, and then Kurt Angle runs out from the back and gives him an angle slam on the apron on the stage.
Olympic slam.
Is it the Olympic slam? I always write Angle Slam in my notes.
Well, Angle Slam was, I'm pretty sure, was the TNA version.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure it was the Olympic Slam. But I can't check this now because Wikipedia have removed all the names of moves.
I don't know why they've done that.
I don't know. It's really frustrating.
It is frustrating.
Like, you had who goes to a Wikipedia page and thinks, I'm going to remove information from this. Just chuck it. If it's accurate, just chuck it all in. That's the point.
It's Wikipedia anyway. It's full of nonsense. But anyway, there's
very accurate.
Very accurate, of course, yeah, as long as there's citations. Yeah. You can't use it so when I was doing my university dissertation, it's when Wikipedia had first come into prominence. And there was like an email that was sent out and every one of my lectures was just like, I know Wikipedia is becoming popular at the moment, but you're not allowed to use it for references in your dissertation.
You can use it to find references, though.
Well, that's what we always argue. But they would they just try to actively discourage you. They could never say go to Wikipedia and find a reference because they can't tell you to go to Wikipedia.
Well, for an academic text, you shouldn't be able to reference that because it's just a conduit for other...
No, I know, but to even go to there to find other references.
Oh, weird.
Because they were just worried that they had told a student to go to Wikipedia to get information.
It's new. It's scary.
It was new and scary.
So, after that... and that was a fun Kurt thing as well. We got Natalya taking on Ruby Riott.
That's the payoff to the mustard incident.
And she comes out and she goes, oh, but I've got friends. Here's Bayley, who you bullied... the night before, like earlier in the night, and I genuinely was caught surprised by this because I thought, oh, I wonder who the other person's going to be. I mean, Tamina's already been used.
Could be Ronda.
Yeah, because that would make sense. And Natalya did put over, well, I've got another friend because that's what this division is all about. It's not about fighting for the championship. It's about having long-lasting friendships with people Sasha Banks.
Speaking of best friends, the Hug and Boss connection are back together again. The most mysterious injury of 2018. Nothing was ever said. Nothing was ever announced on TV. Nothing was ever really revealed about it. She was just out for a little bit.
Yeah.
And now she's back.
Yeah, I mean, the closest anyone got to nailing it down, I think Pro Wrestling Sheet says it was some kind of back injury, and she just asked for some time off to recover. But yeah, other places have said it was more of like a mental fatigue thing. She just needed a break. I don't know. She didn't look like happy. I didn't get the impression that she was happy to be there. You know what? Roman Reigns wasn't into it. Bliss wasn't into it. I didn't think Sasha was into it on her return. Like, obviously they were professional and they were like, hey, I'm here. But, you know, that you can kind of tell when people are putting things on. Mm-hmm. Crown jewel.
Could be, man. Could be. Like, they are working for a company that is... I mean, let's not get into it. We don't want to open up the political can of worms.
Maybe they are. Maybe there is actually some real
there could
moral conflict going on. And I'm sure there is. Why wouldn't there be?
Absolutely.
But that does come out. It's very hard to suppress that from coming out in the performances.
Yeah. This wasn't really much of a match. Natty got in the sharpshooter, but Sarah Logan ran in for the DQ. And then the babyfaces cleaned house. Yeah, I'm guessing maybe a 6-man tag for Evolution.
6-person tag, come on.
Sorry.
And, yeah, there was no reaction to this.
Absolutely none whatsoever.
Not much for Sasha's return. Definitely none for the finish. Like, it was quiet. Third hour of Raw, quiet.
Yeah.
And Banks was wearing her Wonder Woman outfit.
Well, yeah, she's got to get it. You can't just wear it for the Royal Rumble. It's got to get some use. She spent money on that.
Yeah, I guess so. But she just deploys it at weird times. Like, it's not... I thought that would be a big-time, Big 4 pay-per-view outfit.
Yeah, but it's,
But now it's like, no, it's Tuesday. I'm just going to wear it around the house. Elias was next. He's backstage, and he throws, like, a tray of plectrums into a stagehand's face. That was funny.
It was a skit on M&M's.
Oh, because he wanted the green plectrum.
Yes.
Right. And then he's in the ring doing his usual weekly gig thing. And weirdly, he's doing his, everybody knows what WWE stands for, even John Cena. And I know they had the match 2 weeks ago, but that's not usual for WWE to kind of back reference.
Maybe Elias is hoping that he can get into the World Cup and face off against John Cena at Crown Jewel.
Maybe, because there's that Elias-Cena feud that's never really been delivered upon from Raw 25.
What do you think Super Showdown was? Did he pin Elias there?
Yeah. I can't remember. I don't care. the hair. I was just looking at hair. Anyway, he does some local sports team heat. Please get in touch and tell us what that all means.
I've got it. Someone tweeted me. Hold on. This is from Kenny Jones. Luke, just in case this is our hockey team's new mascot in Philly that Elias brought up on Raw.
I saw this. This is hideous.
Yeah, Gritty, I believe his name is. So that's that, and that's what Elias said everyone looked like.
Yeah, it's kind of like a Laurie's beard, but that's all the person is made out of.
Well, I mean, it looks like the Honey Monster.
Yes.
But in hockey gear, which makes it really unoriginal. Because someone has just looked at the Honey Monster and like, put a jersey on him.
It's scary to look at. I'm not going to lie, it's not appealing. But they do that, and then Apollo Crews, of all people, comes out.
His music hit. I didn't know who it was.
Yeah, so with no Titus... with no sexy secretary Dana Brooke or statistician, whatever she was. It was just Apollo. And he comes down into the ring, and I can't remember what he said, but he said, he cut a joke about Elias, and then he said, I'm not that funny.
His promo essentially was like, I know I can't play guitar, I can't do jokes. I'm like, what? Your gimmick is you're not talented.
Yeah.
Like, you don't have a talent.
But I can wrestle. And you're like, well, that's good. That's helped so many people out in the WWE that you can wrestle really well, but not have any other things to back that up.
There's so many people that have got to that tippity top level by being a great wrestler with no personality.
Yeah, they smash through it. And when you use that as part of your gimmick, you don't have a personality, like Tony, just strap a rocket to him.
All the way to the top, baby. And then he press slams Elias with, a terrific show of strength. I mean, I've written here, I guess he's the new babyface Bobby Lashley.
Yeah.
Like, Vince almost looked at this show and was like, we haven't got a Bobby Lashley babyface anymore. Get me that other one.
The one the Bobby we put in the wash.
The smaller Bobby. Get me him.
So yeah, he kept him. It was like a delayed press. He kept Elias up there for an impressive amount of time. And yeah, like this would be exciting. I did get into Apollo briefly for a week earlier this year when he had a good hot tag, but he always botches stuff. Well, at least he was fine. He's never really got it, even in NXT. Like he's never really connected with me personally. I know he's got a huge following from his Uha Nation days on the Indies, and he's very athletically gifted, but he's just a smile at the moment. I don't see what's there beyond like a lower mid-card act. Hopefully that's corrected for me.
Yeah, he was in NXT for a cup of coffee, really, and like everyone said, he was brought up too soon because you can't really name any memorable matches that he had in NXT. Like he didn't really have that kind of blow away NXT takeover match that people still talk about to this day. So he was just there, and then he was brought to the main roster. Story always was that they were trying, like same with Bobby Lashley, trying to keep him away from Vince seeing him, because as soon as Vince catches his eyes, like bring him up to the main roster immediately.
You see, they've done that with Lars Sullivan apparently.
Oh really? Well, they're trying to hide him.
No, Vince has finally seen him.
Oh no! Oh dear. And I like Lars and everything. I mean, I wish he changed his trunks because it looks proper rubbish, but it just says Lars on the back.
But we like the trunks, just not the text.
Text is crap.
I don't think this is going anywhere. Like, what's the point of getting invested in it? Like the Chad Gable push.
Mojo
Rawley. There's been too many examples this year where we think something's going to happen and we're like, okay, cool, WWE, get behind this guy. We're here for you. We are on board. And then they drop it. They just drop it out of nowhere.
Yeah.
So what's the track record that we can get invested in? And the main event was the Dogs of War, who aren't called that, versus the Shield. And we'll talk about the Dean Ambrose side of this.
Oh yeah, it's a good shout. Let's do that.
Because we've covered the Drew side of it, where the Dogs of War combusted. But yeah, it was a fine match, and Ziggler pushes Rollins into Dean. Dean had a pinfall on Drew after a dirty deed, and that's where they argue. And Dean goes for that dirty deeds on Seth, but that's broken up. But by the end, they're all hugging. So
yeah, but it was like there was still that, because Dean snapped in this match. As you said, he tried to hit dirty deeds on Seth, and they got into a shoving match and everything like that, and that almost caused their downfall. But by the end of it, he was celebrating with them. But yeah, it is that brothers are always infighting, aren't they? We can't always get along with your brothers. But I thought it was interesting nonetheless. I'm kind of like maintaining what we talked about the other week, where it's like they're almost pinpointing this too much that it's Dean that's turning heel, for then Dean to turn heel. Like they're foreshadowing it far too much for it to be Dean.
What I'm worried is that, because this is a great story, and I've really enjoyed Dean Ambrose's character and performance since his comeback, but I'm afraid that they're doing the stop-start of this story too much. Like, there's only so many times you can tease Dean's going to turn and not have him turn. So when he does turn, it's like, well, you've cried wolf one too many times. I'm not invested in it. So hopefully now that the dog stuff's done as well, like, we can just go forward.
But is it though?
Yes. Yeah, we'll find out. But overall, I gave this a average. So 3 out of 5. Yeah. Probably more of a 2.75 out of 5.
That's where I was going to low average. I actually thought quite a lot of it was a bit boring. Really sort
dragged.
It dragged, yeah, and there was a lot of something and nothing really. But I liked elements of that Ronda promo, and I liked the Dean and Drew stuff throughout the show. But yeah, overall, there wasn't a whole lot to write home about on this show, really.
Well, there were newsworthy bits.
Yeah,
Sasha Banks,
yeah.
Tamina, Samir,
Singh, yeah.
But yeah, like, it just nothing was bad.
No.
Like, nothing was really damaging. You could argue elements of the Ronda promo was, but they saved it in the end. But it was on cruise control a bit.
Well, yeah, it was on Apollo cruise control. I think you say that there were big returns, so it was newsworthy in that sense. But those big returns were in wet fart segments, so they don't really mean anything. Like Sasha Banks being back didn't feel like a big deal. Tamina defecting from SmackDown didn't feel like a big deal. Samir Singh, which should have been like, he's the next challenger for the Universal Championship, should have felt like a big deal, but it's not. So yeah, but my overall takeaway is it was a draggy, boring show.
So if that's all we've got time for, go and check out beer52.com/WrestleTalk for your free case of craft beer, people. And click the videos that have just appeared on our laps to catch up with the latest WrestleTalk things. And this button right here, which will make you a subscribed podcast person on Apple Podcasts. I've been Ollie Davis, this has been Luke Owen, and that was Rambling.